Hello again.
Hi.
Between crime fighting sprees, I thought we'd discuss Pyrrho's latest videos, plus some videos by Professor Anton, conference report and inventum.
I see. There's a lot to go over from those videos.
I agree. I hope this reply doesn't just turn into a big pile of nonsense. Now, I will be addressing Pyrrho's video, but the other videos do touch on the subjects that will be covered. I thought I would take some time to explain my views on will, determinism, probability and choice, and how they all link together within my philosophy.
Do you actually have a coherent philosophy?
Let's just say, it's a work in progress. I'm here to learn, as much as to offer my thoughts.
So, we are still near the beginning of the journey.
You could say that, yes. So let's begin. I want to first try to nail down this concept of will. For me, will is just the faculty of conscious deliberate action. A conscious being deliberating over their actions is a willful entity. Now, I don't see this as conflicting with the idea of a deterministic world. They are not mutually exclusive ideas.
So, a willful entity is just a deterministic entity acting within a wider deterministic universe.
That is what I believe, yes. We identify willful entities as, for example, those entities that can act somewhat independently of their surroundings. And what I mean by that is, if I see a person walking up a hill stopping occasionally to look at flowers, it is a clear indication of will. We have an entity working against the force of gravity, taking an interest in the flora around them.
But even though this person is expressing will, you believe that their will can be explained through determinism.
Precisely. Let's look at the two examples of choosing to like something, given by Pyrrho. Acquired tastes, and feminine beauty. As I mentioned in a comment, for me, these can be explained in terms of the motivations driving the person to achieve these goals. And, these motivations arise out of previous experiences. For example, Pyrrho's motivation to change his idea of feminine beauty seems to have come from his realization that his concept of feminine beauty had been, at least in part, shaped by a third party, that is the media.
So, although the motivating factor is a state you want to achieve in the future, the deliberation and choice to work towards that state is in the past.
Yes. Therefore, all the actions driving you toward that future goal have been caused by previous events. So to me, we are still talking about a world controlled by cause and effect.
But, when you mention cause and effect, Pyrrho's reply will probably involve quantum mechanics.
Of course. My problem with using quantum physics to disprove determinism, or anything else for that matter, is that even the leading scientists in the field of quantum theory profess not to be able to fully comprehend what is happening in the subatomic world. It is very common to hear people say, the equations work, but they make absolutely no sense. And with this being the case, I do not think we can draw conclusions about reality, based on the perceived consequences of that world. Furthermore, I find it strange that someone calling themselves Pyrrho, after one of the greatest skeptical minds of the ancient world, would be putting so much stock in conclusions drawn from something so problematical. However, putting that to one side for the moment, even if we allow for the randomness of quantum mechanics, it does not necessarily follow that determinism is false. No matter how random the causes, they still have effects. And, this point leads on nicely to how I view determinism. There are two sides to determinism. There is the side that states that the world is deterministic in nature. And, there is the side that states we can predict the future of the world based on this. I adhere to the first of these views. The second is just bullshit. Of course, within limited parameters, we can use the principles of determinism to make predictions. This is the basis of the scientific method. But, trying to apply these principles to the universe as a whole is ultimately futile, because the permutations are beyond our capacity to calculate. Not only by their number, but also by their nature.
How do you mean?
To help me explain, Let's do a thought experiment. Imagine we have an infinite number of universes, and every one of these universes has the exact same starting conditions. Now, you might think, in a deterministic setting, that all of these universes will end up in the same state after a given amount of time. However, this is where probability enters the equation. We live in a universe where 99 out of 100 times an occurrence will result in A, but there is that 100th time where B might happen. And, of course, if B happens, the subsequent occurrences deviate from what we would expect to follow from occurrence A.
So, although many of the universes in our thought experiment will follow the same course as we move through time, there will be universes where things could be very different, even if they are following the exact same rules.
Yes. And that is why we cannot use determinism to predict the outcome of the universe, but the universe itself may still be deterministic.
But where does this leave us with regard to choice?
For me, our apparent choices arise out of our deliberations, and those deliberations are shaped by the information being processed by the brain. And that information includes both the new information you are considering about a certain proposition, as well as the information already stored in your brain from previous experiences. This is why two people, looking at the same information, can come to different conclusions. Because their brains are still dealing with different information sets.
So, our choices are determined.
Precisely. They are determined by our concepts of the world. For example, my decision to attempt to acquire a taste for sushi was determined by the information in my brain telling me that I love Japan. Unfortunately, that information was overridden by the information telling me that, yuck, raw fish is disgusting. Well, I'll leave it there for now. I hope I've covered everything, and I hope it makes at least some sense.